go. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Jimmy, do I have an echo? I think I have an echo, Jimmy. We got the one up on stage. Let's do it. Boom. Boom. There we go. Look at the switch right on the goal there, Jimmy. Hey, I made it happen all in one swap. Woo, baby. Holroyd, you see the subscriber jump? The ads are working. The ads are working. Good morning, good time. Good morning, everybody. You're here live. Morning Live with Keith and Friends, the only wake-up show. Wake-up show? What the hell is that? I never used that. I've never said that before. The only morning show to get you guys out of bed in the morning. 9 minutes behind if you hit the snooze button. Yeah. Johnny, I almost hit the snooze button today, but I didn't. I got up, got after it. And hey, this morning, you know why I'm going to get after it today? Because today, in the first morning loop, we're going to get into the real secret fantasies that women rarely share. I know I got Johnny just waiting for this one and why you guys should be paying attention. Hey, I was distracted by Jimmy's message this morning. You guys know we had a big discussion yesterday with our longevity expert, Jesse Levy. We talked about longevity. We talked about life. We talked about life expectancy work. And we're all getting after, guys. You want to live longer, you got to get your life expectancy working. So if you get up this morning and you're raring to go, hey, it only takes a couple seconds. You might live a bit longer. I know that the folks living at the folks living here in Headingley, Canada, are living a little bit longer after yesterday's life expectancy work. We're getting after it. I know Jimmy's getting after it a little longer today. And Johnny, well, Johnny's living forever after all the life expectancy work happening over there in California. Guys, today, the show, we're talking the winning 5 habits of the world's top performers coming up here in the second hour. What else we got going on here today? I am all over the place. We have somebody coming up on the show here today who I got a prop, Johnny, who had a hand in making these things here. These are Keurig cups. We got Carl Winkler joining us in the show here today. Mind Fuel, if you feel stuck in life, it might be your identity quietly holding you back. We talk imposter syndrome. We talk identity crisis on the show all the time. We got AJ Zeglen joining us for that conversation coming later today. And guys, listen, in the deep dive, I'm going to tell you what actually happened when I tried to build an unbreakable mindset. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, it did not involve cold plunges or motivational wallpaper. In the community corner, Sebastian Hidalgo is joining us later today to talk real life, tough growth, and real conversations that matter. You're going to want to hang around for this one at the bottom of the show. But listen, before we kick things off, I invite you guys to subscribe, drop a comment below and tell your friends all about this brand new show. I'm spending money on ads. I'm promoting the show like a motherfucker, and people are showing up. Holroyd, people are showing up. I'm telling you, good time, people are showing up. March 11th, 2011, nobody showed up. Today, there's a few hundred of us here this morning, so thank you guys for showing up today. And listen, if you guys, I'm stumbling on my words. Let's bring in the man of the hour, not Carl Winkler, no, John Andersen. What's going on, Johnny?
What's going on, brother? How you doing this morning?
I'm sweating like a motherfucker right now. I thought
you got those rosy cheeks going.
I do have. Hey, I'm telling you, man, I got up this morning. I had my workout planned. And then, Johnny, my brain started talking to me. And my brain started saying, Keith, go the easy route. Keith, go the easy route. And it kept, and this voice kept saying, no, you're tired, Keith. No, go and do something easier. You know what I did, brother? I got a bunch of mirrors in my gym. I looked in the mirror. I said, fuck it. I'm going to do that right now. And I just did it. I didn't even think about it, and I went and attacked what I didn't want to do because I wasn't feeling it this morning. And that's
once you're there, you got to do it. You know, you can't make the decision at the 11th hour. Fuck, you've got to. These are decisions that are planned ahead. Okay, I need that rest. That's a different deal, because if we submit to that voice that says, no, you're tired right now, fuck, we never get anything done. Jesus.
Well, but the thing is, and I bring it up to you because we talk about it all the time. Like, I had every intention of doing X today, right? But I got up I would sleep a little bit later yesterday than I normally would have. And not the end of the world, just life, right? I got up this morning, was feeling a smidgen tired, but that brain started saying, oh, you're tired. Oh, maybe you should just Johnny, maybe you should go the easy route today. Maybe you should take the escalator instead of the stairs. I was like, fuck that. I'm going to attack that motherfucker, right? So, and because I knew, how I was going to feel right now when I got to the gym with you. Now I'm feeling great.
That's beautiful. You know, and I kind of had a similar situation. A buddy of mine, he came up he basically came over yesterday. We had a nice dinner, and after dinner, we went out and sat in my smoking chairs and smoked a couple of cigars. But I'm not used to smoking at fucking 7 o'clock at night.
Because you're used to smoking at 5 o'clock.
You're smoking 5 o'clock in the morning. I usually smoke in, 5 o'clock in the morning and then in the afternoon, like when I'm out enjoying the beach or something, not 7 p.m. But he brought me my favorite cigar. So I was going to smoke, but I got done with that. And I'm like, fuck, my eyes are falling right now and I am not sleepy.
Oh,
so
man.
I remember going to bed thinking, okay, dude, this was your choice.
Yeah.
And so what I did was to go with what you're saying, I didn't sleep terribly well.
Yeah.
Alarm was off, and that little voice is like, "Oh fuck, you had a cigar last night. You didn't sleep well. You just shave 30 minutes off your morning and get a little more rest." And I was like, you know what? I don't know. It just came to me. I just turned it into a straight up like fight. I was like, you know what? Fuck you. And I even said it out loud. I don't know.
Yes.
But I just got to say, for all you guys listening, this worked like a camp for me. Is that I turned it into a little bit of a fight with that voice in my head. Fuck you. You want me to be a pussy. I don't want to be a pussy today.
Dude, I had the same voice. Maybe it was the morning show voice talking to both of you and I this morning saying, hey, you fucking, you old man, go and lay down today. I was like, fuck,
you know what's crazy, brother? Everybody listening out there's got this voice. We can call it whatever the fuck we want.
And that's why I brought it up, because we all struggle with it. Speaking of struggling, I saw your note. I purposely didn't respond to you last night. Nation, I invite you to look at the screen right now at the upcoming bobblehead collection of Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends.
Oh, boy, that really, I got to say, I can really only speak for myself, but that really fucking gypped me. Yeah. She normally, like for my Legends of Iron podcast, the animated version of me, it's, it's fucking even better than I look. Not this fucking toned back. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is a not even terribly handsome, fucking normal looking dude.
Dude,
what happened?
You look pretty fucking good in this one. So I think Marty looks a little husky.
Marty, but it doesn't represent, I don't think it represents our faces enough. Because we all have certain characteristics about our faces. The cigar definitely helps.
That is
but awesome. I think, God, fuck, man. Maybe that's what I look like, and I just don't fucking know it anymore.
Well, kudos to Melissa. Our teammate Melissa made this yesterday. I was about to walk the dogs out yesterday. John, I get this text out of the blue, and I see image. And on my watch, I look at it like, oh my God, I was fucking laughing, man, because
dude, you saw what I text back. I said, hey, I really fucking shortchanged this all on this one.
Oh man, so good. Hey, so listen, I got to tell you something funny, man. So we always talk about the show with life expectancy work, eh? So we got our life.
And for everybody listen, life expectancy work means sex, because it's proven the more we have sex, the longer we live. So that's our code word for sex, everyone.
So we got some life expectancy work here in the house yesterday, and I come in the show this morning, and I know Jimmy's family is away, and we're working away here and talking, and I get a text out of the corner of my eye, and all it says is this, Johnny, I did mine too. I was like, I just started laughing because I know Jimmy is solo. So Jimmy's going to live longer. You and Terry are living longer. Keith and Lauren are living longer. Johnny, this show might go on for hundreds of years at our rate.
Brother, I got to tell you, it's just like I just made a social media post yesterday saying belief is a skill. The more we exercise it, the better we get.
Yes.
Well, it's the same thing with our sexual, with our libidos. And once, when we do it more, we want more.
It's true.
Yes. So it's like, so the way I see it, is you should, I guess my plan is I'm going to make sure that I have my expectancy work usually with my wife, but almost always with myself. And if you play it right, you're getting 2 a day.
It's true. Absolutely, man.
Yes, absolutely.
No arguments there. I make better decisions. I got a clearer mind. Science suggests that post-nut clarity works. But I got to tell you something. I did have a conversation on the table to kick the show off here today. That's
what we got, baby.
And we got a wonderful guest waiting for us in the green room. He's gonna think, what the hell are these guys talking about? Although he did, Johnny, pay attention to our show. He's like, I've seen some shows you guys have done. I'm quite interested in what you guys are doing. Hey, the guys had a hand in this. Look at the Keurig. The coffee pot thing we're gonna talk.
I got one of those. I got my Keurig coffee pot in my Mexico house.
Oh, there you go.
They're so fucking efficient.
But before we get to that, I got something I know you and I are both quite interested in. Have you ever wondered what hidden fantasies women they keep secret and why they rarely talk about them? Well, today we're going to dive into some fascinating world of women's secret fantasies, exploring everything from, and I'm sure Amy Reiner right now, she's tuning in going, oh my God, these guys fucking talking about this today. Yeah, we are, Amy, for sure. Good time. Adam, ears up for this one. We're going to go. So we got fascinating world of women's secret fantasies, exploring everything from submission and dominance to adventurous public scenarios and multi-partner desires. What I've learned is quite revealing. Now listen, understanding these fantasies, Johnny, isn't intriguing. It's actually crucial. Knowing what's behind these unspoken desires can strengthen relationships. And as you know, we as men and women in relationships often have struggles talking about sex and so forth and intimacy with our lives. But did you know, John, that nearly 96% of women have fantasized about submission scenarios, including elements of BDSM? And I think we don't have to look any further than that movie. What was it?
Just forgive me. Just so I'm not BBSM. What does that stand for?
That's what is it? Bondage, discipline, and I think
okay.
Yeah, like bondage.
So nothing like fucking way off the deep end that I wasn't connected. Okay, gotcha.
Not yet.
Straight up. Okay.
Yeah, straight up, BDSM. So I'm thinking like Shades of Grey. What was that? 50 Shades of Grey, right? But research suggests that this isn't just about physical excitement. John, it's deeply connected to emotional vulnerability, trust, and frankly, relinquishing control in a safe environment. And especially the BDSM, especially among powerful women, providing a balance to the stress and responsibilities of everyday life. Like, hey, I got this big stressful job. I just want to come home and be dominated, right? Adventurous and public fantasies are another common theme amongst females. Think secluded beaches, think luxurious hotels, or even risky public settings. And these scenarios, John, tap into the desires of females around these ideas of rebellion, thrill, and empowerment. And imagine the excitement of intimacy without the risk of being seen. And I got to tell you, man, it's not just about risk. It's also about feeling desired and confident. 87% of women have imagined multi-partner or same-sex scenarios, often stemming from the big C word you and I love, curiosity. And the desire,
as it should be. Yeah. And why dudes somehow demonize a woman because she has crazy fantasies, just like he does, is fucking beside. I don't get it. I think it means that the dude needs to have a little more fucking self-confidence.
Well, that's what it comes down to, right? So these fantasies tap into emotional connection, validation, and exploring boundaries safely within imagination. And you said it best, right? Guys, if you're interested in being curious about what your partner's up to, or perhaps sharing what you're up to, have open dialogue. We got AJ coming up here today with on Minefield, but encouraging honest conversations with your partner, right? And you hear John talk about it all the time. Him and Terry have honest conversations.
You 100%, and I remember early on when Terry and I were having this, and I would ask her questions like, crazy fucking questions, stuff like this, because I'm a big communicator. I like to know.
No.
And and I remember, she was just kind of basically telling me that she was happy to answer my questions, but she had to understand that I asked the questions, meaning I'm asking, she clearly had been in situations with other dudes who asked questions that didn't like the answers.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. And so she was basically just saying, look, I'll have this conversation, but, generally speaking, men tend to ask questions that they actually don't like the answers. They think they like the answers till they hear it, or they think they're going to like it till they. So anyway, I think that's a freaking great way to go. And when it comes down to it, when I say great way to go, have the conversations. But guys, just remember, you're asking a question that might be, it could be really, really cool, or it could be really, really scary, depending on, truly how you feel and your confidence level in a relationship.
Well, that's interesting, right? Because you might not like the answer, right, John? You might not like the answer of what your partner is saying, right? But I think the key message here is, guys, don't be afraid to have the open communication. And the reality is, women have secret fantasies, just like we do, guys, just like we do. And I know I've gone through my journeys of, maybe it's an age thing, wondering when you're comfortable to talk about it. But guys, just have the conversation, man. Go have the conversation. Listen, Johnny, we got a guest waiting for us in the green room. Let's do this. Let's go to the accountability check-in. We're going to wrap up our segment on women's fantasies, and we're going to do this accountability check-in before we bring in Carl Winkler. Guys, you ever lose a deal you were convinced was locked in? Have you? Happened to me recently. Yeah, it stung. I put in the time. You know what it's like. You put the time in, you put the calls in, you put the follow-ups in. All excited, goals were aligned, and then just like that, it all disappeared like a ghost. Gone. Boom. Old me. Yeah, the guy from yesterday. The guy before the show, the ICUC guy. I would have spiraled. Jimmy, I would have just fucking spiraled, man. Gone quiet. I probably would have questioned everything. I would have let one no wreck the whole day. Like, that's it. Fucking no. My day's done. But then I looked at my license and said, oh, yeah, I'm actually an old guy. Here's something I learned. The obstacle is never the problem. No, it's never the problem, you guys. The real problem is how we react. That's one thing I've learned from John on this show, right? Learn how to respond instead of react. When things fall apart, most people give up. They react. And control is the thing that they lose sight of. Their response is the real test, frankly. Not whether you win every time, but how you respond when you don't win. Because the fact of the matter is you're not going to win all the time. So you have to ask yourself how you're going to respond. Winners don't panic. They pause, they realign, and they move. And here's what that looks like for me. I ask myself, what's still on the board? And then I pick the next best move. I focus on the effort, not the outcome. Because I can control the effort. I can't control the outcome. But when we control the next step and the rep after the next step, that is really when you're in control. That's really when you have the power. So get up and get after it, guys. And ask yourself this. If you lose that deal today or yesterday you were trying to get because it was locked in, ask yourself, are you going to respond today or are you going to react today? Because trust me, I've been there. There is a difference. And I can tell you right now, the reaction is never as good when you have a thoughtful response. True story. All right, Jimmy, let's keep it rolling, brother. CTO and chief strategist known for pioneering sustainable product development and scaling disruptive startups in consumer products, beverage tech, and food tech. Notably, he's contributed significantly to game-changing products like filling up the landfills around the world with Keurig's recyclable pods, all joking aside. Cometeer's frozen coffee extracts and Mubella's innovative ice cream solutions, later acquired by Nestle. His experience lies in leveraging technology, Johnny, without reinventing the wheel, focusing relentlessly on practical, scalable solutions while avoiding common entrepreneurial pitfalls. This morning, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends, on behalf of myself and Johnny and Jimmy, is excited to introduce you to Carl Winkler.
Hey,
what's shaking, Carl?
how's it going?
Carl, what's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing great. So, I mean, what you were just saying about disappointment, boy, I can write a book on that. So I get it, 100%. So
Do tell what.
Well, I mean, so
for you when I drop that.
As an entrepreneur, one of the issues I've had is people are interested in learning about me, and to me, they got to pay me. And so I went through this entire negotiation to become a board member of a company that wanted to do a specific thing, and even helped pay for the process because it was a startup. And at the end, after I connected all the sourcing, they dropped me. So here I was, 5K in the hole, saying, why am I doing this? And I just helped them design basically the business model for their business. So when you talk about disappointment, I get it 100%,
Yeah. So Carl, before we get into it, we'd like to ask all of our guests this one question. As you heard Keith and Johnny, and I know you've paid a little bit of attention to our show here, we're big morning guys. We believe the day your life is built and started in the morning. And actually it started the night before when you go to bed on time. But Carl, what is your morning routine for our audience and for Keith and Johnny?
So I have a trainer and I go 3 times 6 o'clock in the morning. I go out for a walk first, warm up, stretch, and I go to see my trainer. I'm old, so I need to go back and stretch, and I do that. I live with a high protein diet now.
Good for you, brother.
65 pounds 5 years ago.
Yes,
I was able to keep it off.
Good for you, brother.
I mean, I'm not perfect, but the other thing is, I now have a pool, so once it's warm enough, I go and I do more exercise, especially after like a 3-hour Zoom, just to be able to stretch and swim, do a few laps, that sort of thing. So that kind of gives you, my feeling.
Dude, you're aspiring, man. So hold on, let's back it up. Did you say you lost 65 pounds?
Yeah, almost 6 years now. Yeah, 65 pounds. I had twin girls, and I sat home stressed out and ate myself to death,
Dude, it fucking happens to so many people, brother.
Yeah.
What's awesome is if we cut this up, I had twin girls and I lost 65 pounds. Our first male guest who had twins. I'm learning from Live with Keith and Friends, Johnny. The guy popped out his twins, man. So
but I think he was saying that he put it on first. They think they were probably part of the reason why they put it on.
Yeah.
Then he realized he's got to start fucking. He's done, feeling sorry for himself. So it's time to take a hold of the bull by the horns and get this done.
So the downside was, and I had no idea. I worked for one of the startups in France.
Yeah.
Part of the team, after I'd lost the weight, they said, "Oh, Carl, why couldn't you have done this sooner? You would have fit so much better in the company," because at that point I was healthy compared to being this fat fuck, So it never even occurred
Brother,
to me.
I'm telling you, I love that. One of my sayings is, if you want more, you must become more. You're focusing on your self-improvement.
Exactly.
I mean, when you're better, you perform better. You see more clearly. It's so true. And I'm so glad that you said that, because now people are seeing that. They're hearing that from the other side. It's real easy to say that, but now all of a sudden, the people that people that you're working with said, "God damn it, this would have been great before." I mean, it's proof in the pudding, man. I love it.
It's sad enough. It's brand equity, especially when you're working in the startup world. I mean, if you're going to be working for a healthy company, you have to look healthy.
But you know what's not lost upon me though, Carl, which you did something which I think is quite striking. We talk about here on the show often, but you didn't say it. I'm going to say it on your behalf. You lost 65 pounds after the birth of your twin daughters, which means that your wife, who had the twin daughters, put on some weight along the way as well, her pregnancy weight.
And she's still dealing with it.
You chose as your partner to make a decision with your partner to do the journey together.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm married 35 years,
But I love that because we talk about it often. One partner decides to make a change, the other one does it, and then struggles happen where you're like, "No, I'm making this. My wife is having the baby. She's carrying the baby weight. I put on some weight along this journey. I want to set a good example for my children coming out." And you did it. And that takes courage and balls, because a lot of guys, a lot of women don't do it, Carl.
I mean, it shows the issue I had a friend of ours, at the age of 55, he ended up divorcing his wife and married a 28-year-old.
Oh, fuck.
And so what kind of relationship was that? You're in for the long haul, and the beauty doesn't last forever, but our love does.
Hold on. You're looking at Uncle Keith here. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Hey, brother, real quick, you said you were old. How old are you?
Yeah,
I'm 63.
Dude.
Okay, good for you, bro. Good for you.
You got good lighting or just good fillers, but you look great.
I don't know. I take that off specifically. You got to see these bags. That's the twins, and that's all the startups I've worked on.
I just jack the lumens up every anniversary, Carl, and it just jacks off a few years. Yeah, it's just the secret. I'm telling you right now.
And I have the soft lighting over on this side, so it helps a little bit,
Oh man. Hey Carl, so listen, let's get into some business side of things. So
Sure.
What's you come from the startup space, what's your strategy for convincing skeptical investors to embrace sustainable tech? You're a sustainable tech guy.
So
even when it's tough.
Two things is, first, it can't be greenwashing, which there's an awful lot of companies out there saying, "Oh, we want to be green." Well, guess what? That's fucking hard. I've worked with a couple of startups where they're all of a sudden backpedaling. Well, wow, that's going to be really expensive. Or, well, if we have to do these processes and we need to get the certification, boom, there's a lot of money to be able to make that work, And frankly, the previous ice cream company, Mubella, it was a device that would take aseptic dairy that could sit on the shelf, warm. You bring it over, the machine makes this amazing product. From an environmental standpoint, it was huge. No one cared. And yet that was the key. And, you have to be able to show or tell the story, because some people think they're green and they don't understand. And I'm going to say it. Environmental guilt is part of what drives me. Okay. With, half a trillion of these fucking things killing every whale in the ocean. And that's where one of my previous startups, Cometeer Coffee, it's 100% aluminum. You could peel it off and it is 100% recyclable. And by the way, it's 97% aluminum cans. So it's much more of a circular economy. So those are the types of things that I really find. It's hard, it's expensive, and it takes a long time. But when you're doing it, the true green effort, it takes a lot of work to get there.
Is it fair to say that a true green company doesn't actually exist?
No, you're living are against it. You're impacting the earth.
Yeah, it's almost impossible not to leave a footprint, correct?
It's how do you reduce the impact? How do you keep the whales from choking on a K-cup? How do you prevent from ozone release? Again, the environmental piece.
Really, isn't it kind of like this? We're leaving footprints. How big is the footprint we're leaving?
How big? Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
And I will say this, as I was doing work with Unilever, they were actually planting trees for my travel back and forth from Boston to the UK. So for every flight that I took, they carbon offset that travel by planting trees in, I think, the Amazon, So that's the type of thing to reduce the footprint. Will it really change? It's better, Well,
at very least, there's effort being made. Exactly. Because as long as it's almost like with anything else. You're not going to get to your goal if you're not putting in effort. If you're not actually moving forward, that you'll get better at those efforts. So the fact that you're doing that's fucking great, brother.
Right.
I sometimes look at those companies with hypocrisy.
Oh, 100%.
I'm flying across the world and I'm planting trees at the same time. I'm like, fuck, are you kidding me? Because it feels to me like it's because I worked in the corporate space for 10 years, Carl, after I sold my company. And I fucking hated it because it's just racing to check the box every 90 days, right? To meet.
What did you do it?
Oh yeah, I didn't love it as much as I loved it.
Highly disliked it.
Yeah, highly disliked it. Thanks, Johnny. He keeps me honest. But it's this, Carl, because you're racing to the next quarter to check the checkbox off and make everybody happy. And then the next quarter, it's like, oh yeah, I did 3 flights. We planted 3,000 trees. Check the checkbox, get to the next one. You know what I mean, Carl?
It's emotional decision making. It isn't scientifically true. I have a huge issue with that. One of the things we've done is I'm making a net zero house. We have an old building. It was a former equestrian farm, and we've added solar. We've insulated the fuck out of the place.
No shit, dude. I love that. A former horse ranch. That's fucking amazing. I want to hear more about this place.
And so we have, and we have 2.5 acres, and we're leaving it. We're letting it be pastures, and now we get more turkeys. We get more foxes. It is just wild. Yeah. But the point is, it's still a footprint. But I am shrinking it compared to the 3 oil furnaces that this house had when I initially purchased it. We now have the solar panels. It isn't enough. It'll never be perfect. But it's going to take 7 years to simply offset the carbon impact of making this equipment and doing these changes. So it's not turning the switch on and boom, I'm now environmentally responsible. It takes decades for that type of impact. So it's the emotion decision making that drives this that just makes me laugh,
That's awesome. Hey, you're hanging out.
If I'm going up the rail.
No, brother. No, not at all. Not at all.
To my producer here. Hey, you're hanging out with Keith, John, and Carl Winkler here. Mornings Live with Keith and friends here. Jimmy, I'm not going to do this creator spotlight right now because we're going to bring that up back here with Sebastian later on in the show here. But here's what we're going to do. Johnny, we're going to take a quick break for you. At this time of the show, we usually do the creator. We usually do the fit tip with Marty. But what we're going to do is we're going to send Johnny off stage. We're going to send Marty. We're going to send Carl off stage. I'm going to quickly do our deep dive segment and bring the boys back and keep the conversation going. Jimmy, we're going to do that. All right. So guys, listen, today our show here is talking about how I built an unbreakable mindset. And here's what I learned along the way. We got Carl Winkler here this morning on Mornings in the Lab. We're going to bring it back here in a couple minutes to keep the show rocking and rolling. But guys, listen, building an unbreakable mindset wasn't something that happened to me overnight. No, honestly, it felt more like stumbling through a maze through life, sometimes getting lost, sometimes finding gold over there. When I wasn't chasing squirrels with my ADHD over there, but then eventually piecing together something incredibly powerful that I did when I built ICU Scene with what I'm building here right now. And I want to share that journey with you, the real, the raw, and the journey that is ready to help you build your own version of resilience. Resilience is a funny word, right? And and I don't mean that in a humorous way, but it's a word that means so many different things to so many different people. What the reality is, resilience, in my point of view, means get up and get going and figure shit out, right? Years ago, I faced setbacks that nearly knocked me out of the entrepreneurial game. It felt no matter how hard I pushed, how hard I rolled, I was just spinning wheels in the mud. I felt like I was in quicksand. But then something clicked. The resilience that I had, or thought that I had, wasn't about falling down. It's about becoming damn good at getting back up. You hear me talk about it all the time. It's okay to begin again. As the great George Mumford, the meditator, says, we're going to fall. We're going to fail. We talk about running towards failure. It's about getting back up. It's about starting again. So what changed? First, I learned how to embrace vulnerability. Yes, I know it's become a superpower of mine on the show and with amongst all of you, but I realized that strength didn't mean hiding fears or pretending to have it all figured out. I didn't know the answer to the question. I just said to know the answer. Right? True strength comes from admitting when you're scared, when you're stuck, and reaching out to help. Oh, baby, I don't mind telling you when I'm scared. I don't mind telling you when I'm stuck. I don't mind reaching out for help. I don't mind it at all. And as I've learned from John, and we talk about on the show, put all ego aside. I don't need to be right. I just want to get the right results. And next, I learned to reframe failure. Every setback that I was exploring became a lesson. I tossed regret out the window. Every obstacle was an opportunity. Instead of fearing mistakes, I leaned into them. I ran towards mistakes. What's the gift here? What can this teach me? I kept asking myself. This shift alone, it wasn't transformative. No. Lastly, I adopted rituals. Not habits, but rituals. Meaningful, deliberate practices that kept me grounded. Woke up, didn't hit the snooze button. Morning reflection, did some journaling, got my training in. These weren't just routines. They became sacred non-negotiables, anchoring me in clarity and absolute purpose. Building the unbreakable mindset isn't magic, you guys. It's boring, frankly, but it sure feels magical once you get there. Here's the takeaway that I learned in my journey. Resilience is a muscle. You got to train it. You got to nurture it. And then you got to watch yourself become stronger, steadier, and unstoppable. Now, Mornings Nation, Business Athlete Nation, I ask you, how can you, as you go through your day today or hearing this message, how can you start embracing the lessons today and build your own unbreakable mindset? Why don't you come back to the show tomorrow and tell me and Johnny, what did you go through today to break that, to break a habit, to create that unbreakable mindset? Recognizing that you're going to fail along the way, recognizing that you're going to fall along the way, and it's okay to begin again. There you go. There's your deep dive this morning on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Jimmy, let's bring the boys back up and keep the show rolling here. Carl, what did you think of what resonates with you when you think about that unbreakable mindset? Carl Winkler.
Well, in a startup, we've had some significant failures.
Of course.
The saddest part is I built an amazing team. Then it was acquired by Nestle, and we had to let everyone go.
Yeah.
So we did keep the buffer specifically to extend people's salary as they left. But it was just sad. It got basically bought out, and then Nestle specifically just bought it specifically for IP, and they sold it off to other companies. So it never exists.
Let's stay here then. Let's stay with startups and resilience. You've scaled 5 startups that are still thriving. Tell John and I, what's your secret sauce for building resilient teams?
Well, that's a great question. I tend to find key players. First off, I'm very transparent, and I love to work with people that will stand up and say no.
Yes.
Because they're the ones that will drive the innovation. It bugged me when I would work with amazing, educated people, and after the fact, it's like, well, why didn't you tell me? We could have done X, Y, or Z. And they're like, well, I'm just an engineer. And yet I have now collected in 5 startups, 4 of them with one of the engineers who continues to leapfrog company to company because he was an engineering technician that was brilliant. And the fact that he could say, shut up, we got to do this, and this is why.
Well, I'm sorry for interrupting, brother, but in the spirit of standing up and literally saying what you got to say, Keith, I got to go back to the toilet. Cut me loose for a second.
I love it. All right, keep going, Carl.
So, again, I've had multiple food scientists that have worked for me multiple times because they've said, no, this isn't going to work. And that's the part that is so important when you are spending money for other people's money, the investors. You need to be able to come in and say, boom, this is why it failed, or this is why it's going to work.
Okay, so then let me throw this to you then. Tell me, you said something. Tell me about a time when you had to make a difficult pivot because of pilot data, and how tough was the conversation with your team?
I got something dumped in my lap, and I can use it as an example.
Yeah.
So Keurig was looking to do a next generation pod, and they hired me as the head of innovation. So I was the director of innovation. They brought me in a new team. I was able to build a new team, and they said, this is the design. And so what they did is they gave me this compared to this.
Oh.
All right. And I was like, what the, how are we going to do that? And so through sketching and talking to a marketing person, I said, well, what if we did something like this? So it's still a little bit bigger. The beauty of it is it's recyclable and it's polypropylene. So you don't have to deal with the same issues. You could peel it off, throw the coffee grounds and the lid away, and you could still put the cup into the recycling. And I had to go to the board meeting presenting this new design because I'd already spent $5 million with this piece of shit. And halfway through, once I passed this around the board room, they said, stop selling. We're doing it. And that's where I literally put my balls on the line. I thought I was going to be fired, you know, and 9 months later, that was it.
I want to hang on this. So I love these kind of stories. Let me tell you about the part of the story that I love. I get curious as a human being the night before that meeting, the few days before that meeting, the anxiety, the sleeping, the knowing you had to get up and go to the board meeting, knowing that you were, presenting something that they didn't see. Like I'm a huge fan of the moment behind the moment. Like, what was your morning routine like that morning? What was the drive to the office? Like, what was like that whole situation of sitting down and going, okay, guys, here's what I'm presenting, blah. And hold on, Carl, I bring it up because this is relatable for so many men going to a meeting today that are going, holy fuck, man, what's going to happen to me today? Carl?
So it was a very different environment. Keurig had just been acquired by Green Mountain. Green Mountain was very receptive to these new design directions.
Okay.
But the management team hated me except for my boss. So the VP of engineering, who had my back, and he pushed me forward to do this. And the night before, I couldn't sleep. I felt like I was going to throw up. I couldn't drink any coffee because I was a mess. Because this is the first time they're going to meet me since back in the day. This was a 10-year difference between the time when I launched the first Keurig machine to when I got back as this director of innovation. And this is, again, with the economy collapse. So I was much more concerned about losing my job back in 2009.
Oh, yeah.
It's a weird process. But the biggest point is, with a huge company, it is so hard to make a decision, to make those types of right turns.
Yes.
But I knew it was right. And everyone there, as soon as we started to present it, it was, I was ecstatic because I knew we had them. And when the founder of Green Mountain said, stop selling, next, they let us just completely change the entire, direction. And I thank the head of engineering who helped me to get in to do this.
That's awesome. So what was
It's a great story, brother. Great fucking story.
And that's a great win for you. What was the celebration? So, okay, you shared with me journey to that meeting.
There was no celebration. The head of the company whitewashed the whole thing as his idea.
Oh.
Yeah, his boss, my boss's boss, was the one who basically took all the credit for this design, except my names were on the patents. So it is what it is, and frankly, I added even though they were in the room, we had other members of my team, we put their names on the patents as well, because as we were making this innovation, they were there and they were feeding into it. So we added their name in, of course, because they were part of the process.
You know what's cool about this, Carl, and I draw a relation to my accountability check-in today. When that happened to you, you had a choice. You could respond or you could react. And John's taught me very well, since I've become a good friend of John in the last year, about how to respond instead of react. Because I used to react and I'd react, and I'm like, what? And he's like, what are you reacting for? Learn how to respond. Oh yeah. It takes courage to respond. So you go through that moment and the guy's like, yeah, I'm taking credit for it. You could have fucking gone off the rail and reacted and become a dick about it. Or you could have responded in a methodical way. Did you respond? Did you react?
So first thing I did was I celebrated to the team because it was our work, not mine.
Ah, good for you. Yes.
And now this is the other one. It was in a boardroom, big glass wall, the table you could land an airplane on. And yet I went afterwards specifically blow by blow so that the team knew what we did together. And that is one of the things that I've done throughout my entire life. I hate when you see these people saying, oh, look what I did. Yeah, you were in the fucking room. You didn't do a thing.
Hey, Carl, in your content, you've mentioned the shiny the shiny penny.
Oh, don't get me. No, we need another 2 hours. Okay?
So share with Johnny. First of all, define shiny penny syndrome for our audience, and then secondly, what's the shiniest distraction you've personally had to overcome with shiny penny syndrome?
I have it. 9 months before we launched the first Keurig brewer, they brought in the new head of marketing. We had the tooling, we had UL approval, we were ready to ramp up for production to launch the first Keurig brewer, consumer brewer.
Whoa. Yeah.
The new head of marketing came in and said, oh, no, we need a clock. We need to put a clock on the front of the brewer so that we can have it turn on and off. And I'm like, well, next year. They're like, no, we need it now. And that is the shiny penny syndrome, where the feature all of a sudden is like, oh my God, we have to have it. And it's like, we just did all of this and spent all this money. We have to stay focused to launch. And then next year, you can do what you want to do to appease the corporate gods.
So it's kind of like getting lost in the details.
Oh, it's incredible. And yeah. I mean,
that's my version of your shiny penny.
Times. But we also
that's what I call your shiny penny, brother. I say, don't get lost in the details. You're basically saying, don't get caught by the shiny penny. Is that kind of how it works?
Right. And then in startups, the other thing is once you've laid a path for a project and you have investors behind you shelling out millions of dollars, and then all of a sudden they're like, boom. Oh, by the way, we're going to add a clock. It's going to take 9 months and we're going to have to push off another year before we can launch the product. Who would you want to talk to from that investment group? And I did the same thing at Mubella. I did the same thing, frankly, at Cometeer 3 or 4 times, where we had to say, align, stop. We cannot keep iterating. We have to move forward. Yeah. And, you know, it's the type of thing where I'm dealing with right now in the startup I'm in right now. They all of a sudden like, hey, and you know, it's once again, I have these deja movements, but it's almost a post-traumatic stress syndrome when all of a sudden I start to see the drift to the shiny. Ooh, wouldn't it be cool if we could do, you know?
Hey, you're hanging out with Keith John and Carl Winkler here. Mornings Live with Keith and friends. We're coming up on our Mindfield segment with AJ Zeglen, hanging out in the green room. Hey, Carl, why don't you stick around for the next 15 minutes with us? We're going to talk about self-concept inertia for guys that are feeling stuck in life. And I mean, you might have some contributions to that as well. But before we do that, I have some fun stuff for you, brother. I got a rapid fire round before we get Johnny out of here for a quick. We're going to do a lifestyle tip, and then we'll bring AJ in here. But Carl, I like to do a rapid fire with a few questions for you. Best idea you've ever had in the shower?
Oh my God, that would be adding a water wheel to our house to generate electricity during the winter with the shorter months versus solar. Boom. How's that? You know, it'd be kind of colonial. It's an old farmhouse, having a water wheel and a stream that runs through my yard. Why not?
That sounds pretty fucking. I'm a big water guy, dude. So I love this.
Yeah.
Johnny, the fact that he had
why are you laughing? This is a great idea.
The fact that you had the ads like right on the fucking tip of your tongue. You're like, oh yeah, I had this idea in the shower. You didn't even have to think about it. Like, that's what I'm doing.
About it this morning while I was working out. Saying,
well, he clearly thinks in the shower. He clearly thinks in the shower.
Yeah, I have it all in my head as I'm designing it.
That's awesome. Favorite sustainability hack you use at home?
Oh, getting rid of plastic 100%. Glass, stainless steel only.
Nice.
No plastic.
Nice. Coffee or tea? Or is that even a real question?
Oh, tea is nothing.
Oh.
Specialty coffee, George Howell Specialty Coffee and Equator Coffee, where they hand pick the beans and then roast them to perfection, because the rest of it is crap.
All right, and then the closing question for you, Carl, before we bring AJ up here and get Johnny's lifestyle tip. If you had to write a startup manual based on your biggest mistakes, what's chapter 1? Carl Winkler.
I should have gone to MIT or Harvard or Tufts. That was my biggest mistake. Northeastern does not allow me to get to be a VP of most startups in Boston.
Coming back for round 2, Carl Winkler should have gone to MIT.
Exactly.
All right, we got lifestyle tip with John Andersen. We're going to bring Carl back for the conversation with AJ and myself. We're going to talk inertia. Guys, there's actually some science behind this idea that if you're stuck in life, you can blame this silent identity killer. Johnny, you're up, my brother. You're up, my brother. You're up, my brother.
Let's go, baby.
All right.
Let's go. All right. If you guys are feeling stuck, this may be for you. I got a solution that works really, really well. Give it a try. You'll be blown away. Here's the deal. What most people don't understand is the most important work that they do is on themselves. If you work harder on yourself than you do your job, you are going to progress quickly. You're going to progress with a nice, ultimately it's just going to keep going. You have these progress, you get stuck, you progress, you get stuck. Well, look at those times you're getting stuck. What are you not doing? In most cases, it's because the stress or whatever it is of getting stuck has had you compromise the work you're doing on you. Remember, if you want more, you must become more. So do not shy away from taking care of yourself first. That's not a selfish thing. For those of you that think that self-improvement is selfish, well, that means you're doing it at the wrong times. Sweep up all the time you're wasting, invest your time that you were wasting into yourself. You get better, you become more, and you get more. More for you is your definition of more. Maybe you're stuck with finances, maybe you're stuck with relationships, maybe you're stuck across the board. It's because you need to focus on you a little more. Rock and roll.
Stuff, Johnny. I love that one. All right. Lifestyle tip with John Andersen every single day, 9:45 Eastern time, giving you guys something to get through your day. We're here with Carl Winkler, myself, Johnny, and our mental performance expert, AJ Zeglen. And it's funny, AJ. Hey, AJ, meet Carl. Carl, meet AJ.
How are you?
Hey, Carl.
We asked Carl the question about what he thinks about in the shower, and sometimes I think about switch hitting, whether I need to use the left hand or right hand, and Carl's thinking about how he can create sustainable water products for his house. I'm thinking, man, geez, you're on the right side of the fence there, Carl. But listen, let's AJ. I want to talk about guys that are feeling stuck in life, and I found something which is quite interesting today. That guys, if you ever feel like no matter how hard you push, life keeps pulling you back into the same patterns. Well, listen, you're not lazy. Well, you're not unmotivated. Well, you're just caught in something deeper. It's called self-concept inertia. And today with AJ, we're going to crack it wide open. And if you've ever felt stuck or frustrated with your growth, what we're going to talk about might help you understand why, and more importantly, how you can move forward. So by the end of the tactics to give you guys some ways to get moving forward. AJ, self-concept inertia is the psychological resistance to changing a person's identity, even when your current identity is no longer serving you. It's rooted in cognitive dissonance. Our brains are wired to protect what we already believe about ourselves, even if it's limiting. And this leads to living in familiar, and here's what I love, because we talk about it so much, and this is when I found this article to talk about with you guys, the alarm bells went off. This leads to living in familiar but unfulfilling patterns. We stay in jobs we hate. We stay in relationships we don't desire, and routines that don't excite us. But we do it because they feel safe. And then we have these external pressures from culture, society, or even family that add fuel to the fire. AJ, well, Keith, you should be doing this. You should be doing that instead of who we could become. And let's be real, the need to conform often kills creativity, courage, and authenticity. This isn't just about how we think, it's about who we think we are. So AJ, when you hear this and you have guys coming in and talking to you about self-identity and this whole concept of the self, this inertia, what strikes you and what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, well, I mean that last
Good
line
shit.
that you just said there, the difference between what we're thinking and who we think we are. That's a huge one, right? No matter what we say externally, or put out there, all of us have an idea or a thought about who we think we are and what we believe and who we believe we are, and depending how that's used, that can really hold us back or it can really push us forward, right?
Yes.
And like you were saying, you have that we have that naturally strong, very strong attraction to what's familiar and to the routines, right? And unfortunately, sometimes that can really hold us down and have us stuck in a rut, right? Because we can just get in this place that feels safe and where we're just not taking any chances. We're not really going after what we want. We're not really pushing ourselves right to the edge of our comfort zone. And we just wait there, and people just wait there for something to happen. And you're like,
yes,
that's not going to happen. Like, you have to make it happen. You have to make it happen. If you wait, you're going to be waiting forever,
Carl, when you hear this concept of self-concept inertia and identity, and you've started 5 companies and you've been on your journey, what strikes you what strikes you about this and your own journey? Maybe some vulnerability. Have you had those mornings, those days waking up going, man, I'm not this, I want to be that, or I think I'm this? Like, talk about this, Carl.
Oh, you're raising such a great point, because that's the issue. I worked for one company for 11 years, and to up and move to my first startup, it took a lot for me to change, but that change has made me a different person. And that's why I love to go back and continue to do that sort of thing. So getting stuck into that mindset, I was going to be an engineer forever, and that was it. So when you're talking about this hits to me, because I was absolutely in a rut. So,
Johnny?
I was going to say, when obviously we like AJ said, we know it's factual that, we're drawn to what's familiar.
Yes.
Right? It's just the ways our brains are programmed. So when we consciously, intentionally work on making ourselves feel uncomfortable enough, that becomes familiar. Now, when we're always seeking to be uncomfortable, and I didn't really understand what I was doing when I was younger, but if I was not like kind of shitting my pants because I was trying to achieve something, I felt like something was wrong. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm not good being comfortable. I'm actually very comfortable being uncomfortable. Now you've kind of flipped the script. You're naturally pursuing that space where you need to be to get where you want to go.
Yeah. AJ, sorry, go ahead, AJ.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, and what you're doing when you do what John just mentioned, and what I haven't heard Carl's whole story, and I don't want to make any assumptions, but he could correct me if I'm wrong. If he started 5 startups, my guess is that after taking that first leap from working with a company for 11 years and doing a startup, when he went to do it the second time, he had built a little bit of evidence for himself that he's now capable of doing that, right? And when John was talking about being comfortable with being uncomfortable, as he was doing that and making those decisions and putting himself in those situations, he was also starting to create some evidence for himself too, right? Because whatever we're thinking about, our brain is going to look for proof. It's going to look for evidence. So when Carl goes to start his 5th startup, right? And and everyone's still going to have those little pieces of doubt or those thoughts, and he's going to be like, okay, can I do this one? His brain's going to be like, can we do this? It's going to look at his previous 4 startups that he started and the chances that he took and how he was able to put himself in those positions. Or John's brain is going to think about all the time he put himself in that position to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And you're going to find evidence there that you are capable, that you can do it. And all of a sudden, this insurmountable, overwhelming challenge, you're going to see a solution in there, right? You're going to be like, yeah, this could be difficult. It could be challenging, but I can do it.
I have Johnny. I often have a love-hate when AJ comes in when he drops words like evidence.
What do you have?
I purposely use this word. I love-hate because I wanted to make it strong.
Okay. All right. So you're saying you don't use that word. You're just using it as a demonstration. Okay.
Yes. Because I love how AJ brings up 2 words often with us: evidence and logic. Because when he brings up evidence, when our brain is trying to tell us something else, and he's like, no, but keep it. The evidence is this. You're like, oh, fuck you, motherfucker. You're convincing me that my brain is telling me what I've accomplished. Right? Because AJ, when we don't use that word, it doesn't remind us of what we've done. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like when you call me out with, but Keith, the evidence is suggesting you've done this. Oh,
Well, and you know what? Sometimes we're just so close to it. You know, people can have a hard time seeing what they've done, or they can have a hard time seeing their own strengths. So, I mean, one of my jobs, well, one of my jobs when I work with people is people will pour their heart out and they'll give me their story.
yeah.
And you could see that they're looking at it through a very negative lens. And then I'm able to sit there and on the other side, and their strengths are just jumping out at me. Like, it is so evident in your face on how strong these people are in these certain aspects of their life. And then you're able to turn it back and present it to them in that way. And they're just like, oh, well, I never would have thought of that. I never would have, you know. And so when you're able to bring their attention to it, you know, we talk about creating evidence. It's like, hey, we have a lot of evidence here in your story, even though there's tragic parts or challenging parts. Like, here's the strengths, here's what you've done to get through it. You know, one of the first questions I ask people when they come in and they're in a really tough spot, I'm like, okay, well, what have you been doing so far to get you to this point? Because you're here, right?
Yeah.
And you haven't given up, and you're still working, and you're still, you know, anyway, so it's just about highlighting that I have yet to come across a human being yet that doesn't have amazing strengths in their story. It's just bringing attention to it for them. Yeah.
You know what makes
helping them recognize that the challenges that they've been through to get to that point is what makes them so amazing.
Yes,
you know
absolutely.
You know what makes me sad, gentlemen, and AJ, I sometimes think about you with your profession, is the men out there that are hearing our discussion are stuck in this inertia, and they're wanting to go around the corner, but they're looking at their marriage, their job, their kids, their entire life, and they're wrestling with it because they know in order to get around the corner, they have to blow the whole motherfucker up. That is scary.
I need a t-shirt.
And
Let's see what happens next, because that is the case. I've been stuck with many friends that couldn't make the move in transitioning, and they're stuck within a company that they've been there for decades. And there's some tension there because I've moved on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they haven't. And yet I'm the one looking around the corner saying, let's see what happens next. You know, because that's my mantra, you know, because for the next startup, I already know what I want to do. Find something else, you know.
So how do we
real quick, let me just real quick what you're saying, Keith. You know, the idea of I got to blow this up to go around the corner.
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge that thought process with I'm just going to start fucking getting so much better that if my world can't keep up with me, I'm going to leave it behind.
Oh.
You don't have to. I don't think you have to intentionally blow it up. That's focusing elsewhere. Focus on you. Get better so fucking fast that if they can't keep up, they leave. They choose. It's almost like they're just not participating in your new version of you.
AJ, what's your comment? So that's an interesting comment because you're basically taking what I like about what you're saying is that I'm taking control of my life, kids, wife, work. If you guys can't keep up, I'm sorry, but it's my life. AJ,
I wouldn't even say that. I would just do it because they'll fucking follow. They're drawn to positive shit.
Yes. What's your comment, AJ, when you hear that?
Yeah, no, I would. I love that. I tie that right into John's lifestyle tip, right? When he was basically talking about the same thing. We are the best tool that we have in any situation.
Yes.
Right. So I'm in a situation, John was talking about getting better at work. You don't like your situation at work or you don't like whatever. If I work on myself and I make myself a better person in whatever capacity of my life that I'm trying to improve. Now, when I go to do my job and I'm the best tool that I have to do my job, I have a better set of tools. I'm going to be able to do my job better. I'm going to be able to do it easier. If I make myself a better person and then I go home and I'm in a relationship with my wife, guess what I'm going to be better at? My relationship's going to be better. The tool that I'm using to do these things is a better tool, right? Instead of using a handsaw now I got a power saw or whatever the analogy you want to use. But, you know, when I'm working with athletes in the gym, the number one tool you have with any athlete in any sport is your own body. Hey, if you can move your body, more efficiently and effectively and faster than I can move my body, and we're competing against each other, you're probably going to put yourself in a better position to win, right? We're not even using the same tools now, right? So you're developing the tool. When you're developing yourself, you're developing the tool that you're going to use in any situation in your life, whether it's personal or professional. Make the tool better, and everything else is going to seem easier. Your relationship is going to seem easier. Your job's going to seem easier. You know, work on the tool, and you're the number one tool that you have. You're everywhere you go.
On what you're saying, brother, so with it, because we invest in ourselves and we create the return on our investment. You know, when we get better, our lives get better, and people just fucking miss that altogether. You know, and to go a little further back to that thing where you're saying earlier, Keith, about, hey, you know, I got to blow this up to turn the corner. You think about all the people that have this idea. They've got the fucking nuts to blow it up, but not the fucking nuts to actually turn the corner. That's happened too many goddamn times. Don't fucking get distracted with the shit. If you want to turn the corner, work on turning the corner with positive shit. And the odds are the people that love you are going to trail behind, and they're going to lead. You're just leading by example.
Yeah. AJ, is this the best way to wrap? Go ahead. Go ahead, AJ.
Oh yeah. And I was going to say, to answer your question, why sometimes people hesitate, right, is because naturally we're always looking for, you know, the human brain's almost wired to find the most direct, what we perceive to be the easiest route to something.
Well,
the easiest path to something.
This morning. Yeah.
Right. Yep. So if I'm in a relationship and it's not going well, or the relationships I have been in haven't been going well, this is just an example. What's the easiest thing, the easiest path? Well, for me to be like, oh, well, I can just leave this and go to this person. And imagine what I could be when I'm with this person.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Imagine what I could be in this scenario, or imagine what I could be in this job, or whatever it is. Right. And we think that's the switch. And then we go and we switch partners or whatever, and we're with that new person. And then lo and behold, after a certain amount of time comes by, we realize that, you know, hey, the one common thing in every relationship you're in is yourself. You're the common denominator, right? If you keep
the same motherfucker went to the same motherfucker went to the second relationship, made the same fucked up mistakes, and had the same fucked up outcome.
Exactly. And we kind of make those jumps because we feel like that's in our mind, that's the easiest way to be someone new, to be something different. It's just to jump ship and go here and go there. When in reality, you know, it's like we've just been talking about for the last couple minutes. There's no substantial change, or there's no meaningful change in that. We have to be able to see that we need to be able to change ourselves, but that's going to take, what we always talk about on this show is effort and attitude. But the great thing about that is your effort's something that's always under your control all the time, but it's going to take effort to change yourself. Once you do that, though, that's how you change yourself. You don't change yourself by just not doing any work and just jumping around from situation to situation, right? You're the same dude, just in a different place now, right? You got to put the effort in to change yourself, and then all the situations around you are going to change.
Well, I think
if you want more, you must become more.
Yes. And I think the best way to wrap this conversation, what a great conversation, guys, because I know many of us, and I was on this journey, you know, and AJ is one, you know, you and I met during my journey. Guys, you're not broken. You know, you're evolving. That's what it is. And evolution it's not easy. Evolution comes from expansion. If I can encourage you, something that I've gone through, and I go through it daily, is don't fear discomfort. You know, you hear Keith and Johnny talk, walk towards it. That discomfort is a sign that growth is knocking. As John likes to say, as you walk through the darkness, the closer you get to the darkness, you're actually closer to the light. Think about that for a second.
No. What I'd say is the darker it is, the closer you are to the light. You just chew that thing all the hell.
So guys, open the door, get the light in the room, reinvent yourself. You don't need permission to change. You don't need permission from your kids or from your wife or from AJ or Keith or Johnny or Marty. You just need the courage to start. And I know that that's the hardest thing to do, is just to start.
And you know, my one-liner for this, what you're saying, brother, sorry to interrupt, is stop running from it and start running to it.
Yes. And you know what, guys, maybe the best step is this. You set your alarm clock for 8 o'clock Eastern time for Mornings in Lab with Keith and Friends. Wake up with Keith and Johnny. and we'll start putting some positive words in your mouth. And every Tuesday and Thursday when AJ joins us, we'll give you some more positive words. But the guys, the reality is there's a free accountability habit stacking program that will help you guys get started, right? And it's called Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. AJ, what a great conversation, man. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you bringing some goods on that one. When I found this, I was like, oh, yes, we got to talk about this, because I was one of these guys. There's a lot of guys that tune into the show. They're like, I want to do that, but I don't know how to do it because I'm stuck and I'm too scared. Right. And
man, I swear to Christ, the more conversations we have, AJ, the more I think that we were like somehow, we got some shit that's connected if you go far enough back.
No, I agree, man. I agree. And you know what, Keith? In reality, for being honest with ourselves, two things can be true at any given time, right? There's a lot of aspects right now where we might be looking at that, thinking that we're in a great place, and there might be another aspect of your life where you're stuck, right? And that could happen. Like, the reason why it probably resonates with everyone so much is everyone can relate to it. We have all been stuck in some aspect of our life at some point. We've all hesitated. We've all delayed taking that step or making the jump or whatever it is, right? We've all been there, right? It's a natural part of the human experience. We all go through it. It's how we're wired to feel safe and to be connected and drawn to the pattern and the routine and the familiarity, right? So we've all been there. So when we have an opportunity to talk about this, right, then it's like it makes it, hopefully gives people a different perspective, and they're like, oh shit, I'm not the only one. Like, all these guys went through it too, and go through it too. And look, they all took that step, and they're all sitting here talking about it.
Yes.
Like, I can take that. I'm going to be okay. Right. There's this great quote. I don't know who to attribute it to. I can't remember where I first saw it, but it's, when you think of fear, it's miles wide, but it's only an inch deep. Right. So you're sitting there and
I think that's Hermose's wife. That's a great fucking saying, dude.
Yeah. And it's just right. And it's just like you're looking at this vast kind of ocean, and it seems overwhelming. And then you have the courage to take that step, and you realize it's only an inch deep, and you're like, man, I could walk through this.
Your sneakers got an inch and a half of rubber going around the edge, and you're only stepping into an inch.
I love the fact that AJ used the ocean as his metaphor, because I know how much AJ loves oceans. AJ, tell me about your love for oceans and how much you want to go jump into it.
That's fucking crazy, brother. I got a water thing too. I can't not be close to the water. It's fun. I swear to God, I moved onto a river when I was 10 years old. Literally, I went to college on the same fucking river, 40 miles downstream. The first house I bought was on a fucking creek. The second house I bought was downstream of the fucking creek. I mean, there's a lake just outside this fucking building. It's like the water is so powerful. It's another crazy thing. What the fuck?
Yeah. AJ might have a different point of view on the ocean, Mr. Zeglen.
Keith's just bugging me a bit here. So I'm like you, John, in the fact that I love being around water, but I have a great fear of the ocean. Like, if I'm off the beach, you know what I mean? Like, so the thought of me, like, when I see people and they're out on a boat in the middle of the ocean and they're like, let's go swimming, and they jump in the water, I'm like, absolutely not this guy, not in a million years. That thing is just too big and it's too deep, and my mind can't really grasp like what's going on. And that's not for me. But I too, out in my hometown where I live, I grew up right by the river. I still live right by the river. I'm a stone's throw away. I love being in or around water, but the size of the ocean, I struggle with just how big it is. I think, it's a scary place.
It's almost hard. It is a little scary when you think of something that's so fucking big.
Yes,
it's hard because we really don't understand it. It's so big.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. It's like it's there's such a high percentage of it that is just undiscovered or unexplored. And it blows my mind that we're just on this planet and we have a limited amount of knowledge about what's actually going on there,
Underneath it, you're like, I'm not jumping.
And you can't see what the fuck is down there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Hey, you're hanging out with Keith, John, Carl, and AJ. Mornings at 11 with Keith and friends are on hour 2. We got AJ in overtime here. Hey, Carl, why don't you stick around to the end of the show? We're going to talk about some daily habits. You want to stick around, Carl?
Sure.
Let's do it. AJ, what's going on, brother? We got the date, Saturday, 5 o'clock, NHL, Winnipeg versus St. Louis in Winnipeg. Carl, you now can officially adopt Winnipeg Jets as your home team for the next few months. You're looking at the future Stanley Cup champions. Next week, this jersey is going to be on all week until we're done. What do you got going on today, Zeglen?
Not much. I have a couple of clients coming in the gym. I'm technically on an off day from the gym, but nice. I have a few people one-on-one that I gotta that I get to come in and work with. That's awesome. And then I'm in my clinic in the afternoon, and then I'm going grocery shopping to plan out my big Easter dinner, man.
There you go.
I got a menu I'm putting together for
go.
Saturday that I feel is going to be.
When is Easter this weekend?
Yeah, Good Friday tomorrow and Easter Monday on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's crazy how fast the time goes.
We just live the loop, Johnny. So the days just show up. Lauren's got a funny comment for AJ here because I saw this one too, but Jimmy's put it up there. How about that 1,000-pound squid, AJ? They just got on the video this week. Never found ever in their entire life. And they found 1,000-pound squid. AJ's just being reaffirmed. I'm not jumping into the fucking ocean, man, because there might be a megalodon down there, Zeglen.
I remember I saw a movie about when I was a kid about some fucking massive squid, and actually the last scene was one of the guys got his leg stuck in a rope that it was a spear stuck to it. The squid pulled him down to the bottom of the ocean. That was the last scene you saw. This thing was probably. Do you remember that movie?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I absolutely remember the movie, Johnny. 100% I do. Yes.
No shit.
Yes,
that fucking freaked me. That did not help my thing with water when I was young. That's for sure.
I've had no problem scuba diving as long as I can see the sand on the bottom.
Oh, there you go.
Dark water. That's it. I'm out. I mean, I'll go swimming, but I won't scuba dive unless I can see, I mean, the other problem too is being in New England, the water is freezing.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. I remember the Squid movie, Johnny, and I remember Quest for Fire, the two movies that changed my life.
Quest for Fire. All that movie did for me was destroy the women's section in the Sears catalog. That just didn't have the same punching power after that.
Are you familiar with Quest for Fire? Carl, do you know Quest for Fire?
Do I have a Quest for Fire?
Do you know the movie Quest for Fire, Carl?
Oh no, I don't.
I'd invite you to go check it out when you're off the show here today.
Not a single word spoken of any language.
Just
pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's a wonderful movie. Zeglen, I appreciate you, man. You have yourself an awesome day today, and we'll catch up a little later. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Always fun. Always fun. All right, AJ's going to get out of here. We're going to keep it rolling here, guys. Johnny, do you need to step away for a second, or do we got you to the bottom of the hour?
I think I'm good. Because I had that extra one where I had to go take a dump, so I'm doing well.
Well, guys, listen, I got something for you guys, and I think this is going to be a great conversation. 5 winning habits of the world's top performers I want to get into with you guys, because again, we always like to give content and conversation that people are looking to lean into. But guys, you ever wonder what separates top performers from everyone else? It's not just talent or luck, and we talk about it all the time, guys, but it is their habits. Spend some time studying successful leaders, athletes, and entrepreneurs. And when I did some research on this, guys, the one thing that always stands out, they're consistent, empowering habits. I've listed 5 of them, 5 winning habits that you can adapt today to elevate your game. Let's lean into them together, guys. Carl, you started it. Master the mornings.
Let me just say one thing right now. When people are always like, when you hear the term success leaves clues,
yes,
this is a perfect example of the clues that saying is referencing the daily activity of the person who's successful. So don't fucking look at all the shit that you're trying to achieve. Look at what he does daily to achieve all that shit.
Yes.
These are the clues. These are the clues you need to be paying attention to.
And the first clue is, and I'm a big believer in this, and had I not met Marty and Johnny, I don't know if I would have found anybody to believe this with me, but it's this idea of mastering the morning. Top performers don't hit snooze. Starting their day with intention, period. Whether it's meditation, exercise, journaling, or goal setting, they carve out time every morning to prime their minds and bodies for success. They plan to be successful. Success doesn't happen by accident. They're ready to transform their day by starting and owning the morning. Carl Winkler, lean into this one.
So the other one is to focus on your projects and not let the fray to bother you. So if there are other things that are gnawing away,
Not let the what, brother? I missed the word. The what
the
bother
fray,
you?
you know, anything that noise of other things that might be
Yeah.
going
Okay.
on,
Gotcha.
whether it is, you know, the rent or the dealing with a building or dealing something like that, you have to
Yep.
focus on the mission, and then you can deal with the rest of it later. That's been a huge problem when you have people worried about noise. The other part that I would always, again, going back to business, being transparent. You
Yes.
know, it's
Yes.
so much easy when you're transparent and true, you're never going to get caught in a lie. You know, I mean, these are the types of things that just simplify your life. And that's something that I'm very specific with the team. If we're having problems, I want them to know, because then they're not worried because they know what's really going on.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
Johnny, number 2, and I know you love this one, brother, so I'm looking at you with this one. Embracing lifelong learning. The best in the world are perpetual students, constantly reading, listening, attending workshops, and continuously investing in their personal and professional growth. The moment
Bro, that's what my lifestyle tip is all about. 100%, man. It's like if you don't constantly invest in you getting better a little bit every day, how do you expect everything around you to get better? When sometimes people say, "Oh, it just doesn't work for me." Well, bullshit. It's about what you see, because when you get better, you start to see things more clearly. Instead of seeing a problem, you're going to see a solution. Instead of seeing a problem, you're going to see an opportunity. And when you work on yourself enough, you reprogram your mind, you're constantly investing in your self-improvement, you start to see life through a different set of goggles.
Yes.
Now, your life is just going to fucking change in so many ways. It's almost even hard to point out where, because it's going to go everywhere.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Johnny, you know what I've enjoyed about this show, and I'm suspecting I can speak on your behalf as well, but these awesome guests we have coming through, like every single morning when we get up and hang out together, this lifelong learning from guys like Carl and learning from guys like Jake Newton, right? Like right?
Even the we have these fucking conversations every day is another rep, because you got to practice this shit. Just because you fucking know something, just because you know how to fucking squat, doesn't mean that you're getting better at squatting. You got to fucking do it.
Yes, exactly. Because you're never done. You're never done. Carl, prioritizing deep work, distraction-free, focused work sessions are the secret weapon of high achievers. They guard their productivity fiercely. They set clear boundaries around their deep work hours. They turn off notifications. They close their door, and they watch their productivity soar. Carl Winkler, comment on this idea of prioritizing deep work.
So the biggest issue is clear understanding of what the deliverable is, and don't babysit. Micromanaging destroys the creativity process.
Yes.
And frankly, having somebody over your shoulder, it just kills everyone. So I'm much more about, you give bullet points of what they're going to work on, and boom, let them go, with an understanding that we want to know by the following Tuesday, we expect to see results, so that we're on the same page. And if they come back and tell me, no, it's going to take us another few days, not a problem. I'm not going to babysit on them to find out. And that also reflects for other people. It's a level of respect you have for the other people you work with.
Yes. Yeah. I had a good friend who always said this, boys: inspect what you expect.
Yeah, that's it.
So if I have an expectation of Carl that he's going to get this done by Friday, on Friday, I'm going to inspect that. Right. So something to be powerful. That Johnny, number 4 on our list here today is building powerful networks. Successful people understand that greatness doesn't happen in isolation, right? They intentionally cultivate. Here's the key word, scary word, intentionally cultivating strong relationships, mentors, and supportive communities. Your network isn't just your net worth, guys. No, it's your growth engine. Who do you want to
connect? And now it's never been easier, because, basically the old saying, you look at the 5 people around you, who you spend the most time with, that's who you're going to end up being. Well, in today's age, if let's just say someone is trying to level themselves up, but their friend group, their family, it just doesn't get it. Well, you can go on fucking YouTube. There's so many ways that you can get that positive voice in your ear. You can go select your 5.
Yes.
And you can invest your time into those 5 so that that's the influence you're getting. The direction of your life will change. So when you think relationships, of course, once you actually are working in situations where you meet people and physically, when you can create that type of relationship, that's a whole nother level. But to get started, create relationships with people that you need to listen to them talk. That's a relationship as well. It's an easy way to get out of the gate.
That's it. Well, and this show is a great example of that. Carl Winkler is now a guest on the show. He's part of the Mornings in the Lab alumni. Carl's going to be connected to myself and Johnny and the entire network of men that have been on this show and have been around the show. Like, there's a network happening within this show, right? He's now been introduced to AJ. He's met some of our guests in the community. Carl's now part of the brotherhood of the Mornings in the Lab. There is a community right here for men to be a part of. Number 5, guys, number 5 on this list here is reflect and recharge. And I'd even offer, Johnny, to this, recovery. People get scared of recovery. It's like, oh, you're a pussy because you're recovering. No, I'm actually being pretty smart about it. The elite performers know the power of rest, reflection, and recovery, regularly stepping back, recharging, and assessing progress. Scheduling downtime isn't a luxury. It's essential for sustained performance. And guys, ask yourself this. When was the last time you truly disconnected and recharged? Carl, what about you? When was the last time?
Okay. I mean, again, this is once again, the eye of the prize is keeping focus and allowing yourself to reflect. Doesn't mean to be working on it, but just allow it to ferment or to think about as things evolve. And then the other one I'll say is, after a really stressful day, I'll be the first one to say, I'm going to take a nap.
Good for you.
I'll go and recharge. I'll do things. I'll usually work out very early in the morning. If I'm in a Zoom for 3 hours, I will say I'm out for an hour, boom. And then I'll go right back up and I'll be up until 9 o'clock at night. It's just the ability to because you're just as fresh once you've done something like that. That type of restorative health is really key. And again, also proper eating and the whole 9 yards. I'm talking to
and brother, one thing I love that you said there, and I think that this is something that people tend to not understand, that the average man doesn't think enough.
Yeah,
he just kind of goes and does, but he doesn't. Thinking is like your fucking roadmap. Okay, here's my plan, right? Now I'm going to go execute it. They're 2 different fucking things. People don't sit and think enough. And the whole thing of a nap, brother, 11 o'clock every day, 11 to 11:30, bam. That's my jam. I'm out, because when I wake up from that, my shit is sharp, and it's almost like a second day. It's almost like I get 2 days in one.
Yeah. Hey, B-Win, see you there in the comments. Great contributions to the community here. Love your positive aspect, and I love the time you're taking to contribute those wonderful contributions to society today, B-Win. Keep it up, my brother. Listen, 5 winning habits of world's top performers as we wrap it up here today with Carl Winkler and John Andersen. Guys, number 1, mastering your morning. Number 2, embracing lifelong learning. Number 3, prioritize the deep work. Number 4, build powerful networks. And number 5, most important, reflect, recharge, and absolutely recover. Take the time. And Keith and Johnny are on a mission to help guys get naps in throughout the day, because getting that rest in is going to help you move forward. And guys, listen, adopting these habits won't just enhance productivity. They're going to transform your life. You heard the conversation we had with AJ earlier, right? Transforming your life is hard. And which habit resonates most with you? Let us know. Let us know what you've done today to get after it, to help achieve those big ass audacious goals. All right, guys. Well, listen, we are coming up to the bottom of the second hour here. What a great show. Carl, you hung out for the whole show with us, man.
Hey,
that's awesome, brother.
This is great. And I mean,
fun,
John, I mean, what you guys are saying, I mean, it resonates, and you guys do a much better job of explaining it than I do, but we're definitely all on the same page,
So, Carl, what do you got on the plan today? Are you what's on your agenda today?
I actually have a 9:30.
So. Oh yeah, well there you go. Well, listen, I appreciate you hanging out with myself and Johnny. So listen, final words from you. How can folks connect with Carl Winkler? Where can they find Carl Winkler? How can our community engage with you? And as you heard me say, you're not part of our brotherhood forever, so you're part of the alumni. How can folks communicate with Carl Winkler outside of the show?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not really with regards to X and the rest of them, but LinkedIn is my primary portal. But yeah, and again, if you ever want to talk about something else, I'm available because there's a wide variety. And it's been a great experience.
Awesome.
Well,
Awesome.
dude, your knowledge base and skill set, we could have a lot of fun conversations for sure.
Completely agree. Yeah, I agree with Johnny.
And there's one other thing I think would be great to talk about, because what you guys have been talking to, that is the other side, is when you're successful and you're driven and you bring a team and then you go to leave, there's a negative impact that can happen from something like that. And you have to manage it properly, because you want to give the same respect for the people that you've decided to leave, so you don't feel like you've abandoned them. You know, so that is just something else I think would be a great, point to raise in the future.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when I sold, I sold my first company when I was before 30, and I didn't have the knowledge or understanding how to do what you're talking about. So I had I had, a fairly bad backlash with people feeling like, all of a sudden, bam, where's he going? He's gone. It was like, I mean, my skill set did not involve how to deal with that at that point in my life.
Yeah.
This is actually great, Johnny. Our buddy David Sowers, Mr. Shitter there with Royal Restrooms, awesome dude. David with Shaken Brother. I know he has talked a little bit about not necessarily leaving, but working with like when things are changing in the business and how folks are when you might be moving into a different role or moving outside of the organization, how folks are are embracing all that. That's an interesting conversation, Carl. I'd appreciate. We should have that in the future.
I got to bounce, so I'll talk to you guys again.
All right, brother. Good to see you.
Guys, it was great. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Carl.
All right. Take care.
Right, we're getting out of here. Carl's going to get out of here. I'm going to rock it up with Johnny here. John, it was a fun show, man. Good. Carl's great.
It was good. Yeah, it was good. He had a lot of insights.
Yeah. What do you got going on today, pal?
Well, I have got a 630 with squat rack.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start integrating power cleans back into my regimen.
Oh, you are, eh?
I'm going to be using those for kind of warm-ups on my lower body days. So I'm looking forward to that. That's a great challenging movement. Yes,
it is. What prompted that? So what prompted that?
I mean, I'm always looking, I've got this huge tool box, so to speak, of different ways for me to enjoy my training. And that's one of them. Back in the day, I actually had, we were filming it, but we actually ran out of, I guess you'd say hard drive. It was early phone days, but anyway, I power cleaned 100 kilos, which is 220 pounds.
Yes. Wow.
For 100 repetitions without stopping. 101 to be exact, because I had to do one more.
Dude, I refresh your memory. The power clean is you're pulling up and
power clean is taking it from the floor to here.
Yes. So I want to bring that up. So AJ was teaching me how to power clean a few years ago, and I fucking
very difficult to teach.
Oh my, yes, I know. And he was awesome. And AJ had all the patience in the world with me, but I fucking dropped it on my leg, on my right leg, as I was lifting it up, and I didn't have the most weight on it. Dude, I left myself the biggest fucking and it was an interesting experience. I love that shit, but it's hard.
Yeah, and that's what, and when it comes down to it, like my coach, the guy that taught me to do it, he was a resident at the Olympic Training Center, so he was taught by the best in the world.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it's like I have this, I have a skill that's really, really good, where most people never get to develop it. So I was just thinking to myself, all the stuff I could do. I have a platform I'm looking at right through that door, right? Deadlift. It was like, why don't you start power cleaning again? It's fun. It's a great freaking warm up. And as I get older, I want to include more dynamic shit. Like Terry and I are now we're going to be playing pickleball regularly.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, it was just, because if you think about it, we get older, we don't really run or move quickly in any direction. It's just life kind of slows down.
Yeah.
That was really, I realized how much I need dynamic movement and
I bet your lateral movements too, eh? Like your side to side stuff, right? So that's good for you. I've never played pickleball. I'd like to play it sometime. I'm sure it's probably a pretty fun sport.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, just figure it's like kind of like an old farts tennis.
Yeah, it's like tennis ping pong, right? All kind of blended into one, right? So, you know, we have to have back on the show. I saw him on LinkedIn here. His handball, his wheelchair handball team is doing something big. Ford Dyke, remember Ford? Long-haired Ford, beard guy from Florida. He's got some stuff. I think his team's doing some pretty crazy stuff. We should have him back and catch up with him actually, because he's the coach of that wheelchair pickleball team, I think it is actually. So yeah, we should talk to him. But listen, I'll get you out of here. We got Sebastian Hidalgo joining me in the lab to wrap up with the community corner, and we'll chat with you later. Okay, brother?
Have a good loop, my brother. See you in the morning.
All right, Johnny's going to get out of here. Jimmy, hang tight with before we bring in Sebastian. I'm going to do a little intro. Hey guys, woo-wee, yes. Bottom of the second hour, Morning to the Lab with Keith and Friends. I'm your host, Keith Bilous. John just stepped out of the show here. Marty was not able to make it here today. Marty back in the show on Monday. We had Carl Winkler in for the whole show here today. Wonderful man, great conversations. And coming up now, we have a guy who is about to step into the lab. When sales teams are burned out, when marketing strategies are a dumpster fire, and when revenue is stuck in a cycle of failure, this is the guy companies call to turn it around. Jimmy, this guy, he's worked with startups to Fortune 300s. He doesn't do cookie cutter advice. Nope. He fixes sales processes that actually work. And he uses hostage negotiation tactics. Yeah, true story. To help teams close more deals. Now, this fellow was first nominated for the Creator Spotlight by business consultant and resistant buster Stephen Timoni, who called this fellow one of the most thoughtful minds in positioning and sales. And like every Creator Spotlight, that meant one thing: we had to bring him into the lab. So this morning, Morning to the Lab with Keith and Friends is very excited to introduce you to, in person, Jimmy, let's bring him up, Sebastian Hidalgo. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the lab.
Hey, hello. So great to be here. Good to see you. And, you know, I got to thank Steven for nominating me that last month or a couple months ago, because that's the reason I'm here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Where are you joining us from today, Sebastian?
I'm joining you from Frankfurt, Germany.
Yeah, baby. You're bringing it from Frankfurt, Germany. The internet works across the ocean. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
It's the best thing ever, man. I love this.
The best thing. I love it. So, brother, listen, you don't just teach sales. You use hostage negotiation tactics to help teams close more deals. Now, I got to be frank, or John, or Steve, or Joe, but I got to be frank. That's not something you hear every day. Give us the breakdown. How does a skill used in life or death situations translate into business deals? How do you take hostage negotiating and weave that into business deals? Sebastian.
This is probably my favorite question, because the two universes look so far apart until like, what is sales about, Keith?
Communicating.
Yes, but why do you communicate with somebody trying to buy from you?
Well, to convince them to get something from me, to convince them.
Yes, I would say to persuade them is the word I prefer, but
sure.
Sales at the bottom is about change. There is somebody who's dealing with something that needs to change the situation in order to improve it, and they give you money so that you help them change that. You become the catalyst to their change. Now, what's the problem? Humans don't like change, especially when their pockets are involved.
Yes.
Hostage negotiators are compliance specialists. Meaning what we do is we take somebody who seemingly has a lot of leverage and we convince them to stand down and make sure that the situation resolves without anybody dying, including themselves. So a hostage negotiator is the ultimate compliance specialist. But what is a salesperson if not also a compliance specialist? So that's where the connection is, because sales, at least in the methodology I created, comes down to one thing, which is listening to your prospect, diagnosing them as if you were a doctor, then taking them into the weeds of the things they've done in the past that have failed, using that both to frame your offer, to position your offer, and to close them. And that's what the approach comes down to getting compliance from a prospect, to selling more effectively and selling quicker.
Interesting. So, Sebastian, in your teachings and in the content that you talk about and the way that you speak about your proposition you say that when done right, your value proposition doesn't just attract customers. It turns employees into what you call an awareness engine. How does that work?
Well, I'm trying to think of a metaphor here. Think of a rowing team. Think of a rowing team. What happens if not every single person in a rowing team is rowing in the same direction at the same time? You don't go very far, right? And the rest of the members will either get tired faster because they're making up for you, or you just get nowhere. A business is very similar, meaning you need to row in the same direction. And yes, a value proposition gets often conflated, rightfully so, only with the things we tell our client base so that they buy from us instead of from competitors. But a value proposition built correctly is a cultural tool. It's something that is so clear that an employee can repeat it as if it were like a prayer they learned as a kid. What does your company do? You ask many people that question, and each one of them, even if they work at the same company, will give you different answers. Once you fix that, every time they go to an event, every time they meet somebody else, every time they are at a party, hey, what does your company do? They will give you the same exact answer, which means they get turned into an awareness engine, because what you're doing is creating one narrative that gets pushed out there by 70, 200, 2,000 people. That's the definition of free advertising, basically. And that's what a good value proposition does.
This is where I believe many companies are misusing a platform like LinkedIn, where most companies think that if they empower their employees to embrace the awareness engine of their organization and talk about their company on LinkedIn or social platforms, I'm suspecting the company's thinking that they're encouraging their employee to go and not do work and go and get a job somewhere else. But the reality is, you just said it. If you have a company of 100 people and all 100 people are your awareness engine on your social platform, talking about your company with the same continuous message, Sebastian, the power in that, no?
It's immense, meaning I cannot talk too much about this without, say I have this client, right? This client works for a very big company, and there are some elements in the company that are not okay with my client posting themselves out on social media, which is completely crazy. Like, this person is literally bringing tens of thousands of views to the company by speaking great things about the company culture. Literally, as a company, your ideal case scenario is having people like my clients everywhere, in every department, that talk about what the company is doing, clients they're working with, things they can talk about. It gives potential customers and even future customers, whoever, it gives them a window into your business that you will have to pay for. Those are eyeballs. Also, that if you pay, also there's the other factor that if you paid for that same amount of impressions, people hate advertising. We get bombarded with advertising every single day. Instead, if it comes from somebody you know on LinkedIn that they're talking about how cool their company is, maybe one day you need a job or somebody you know needs a job, and you tell them, hey, I've heard about this company because somebody I follow on LinkedIn works there, and they think it's a cool company.
But I think that's
creating an awareness engine.
I think that's changing, right, Sebastian? Like as you continue to work so if I look at generations, right, as you continue to work your way through an organization, perhaps to be a CEO or running your own company one day or so forth, you already are, but it's a new mindset, right? Which is perhaps an older school CEO might not recognize the value of having his team represent everybody on the LinkedIn platforms. I think over time, as we have some younger leaders sitting in some of these chairs, I hope we're going to start seeing that shift happen. But Sebastian, you've spent 8 years working with leaders inside big companies. Let's flip the script. How did you find your purpose in this work? Was there a moment when it all clicked?
Wow. I love that you asked this, because finding my purpose has been a 10-year quest. Connecting all this background in psychology, in marketing, in consulting, in strategy, hostage negotiation, everything seemed unrelated up until 3 years ago, when I started developing value propositions, when I started doing positioning work, when I started teaching sales. I realized that the core of everything I did ultimately came down to understanding people, and either attracting them, persuading them, convincing them, or selling to them. Now, I have this great friend, Chad Jordan, and he walked me through this thing called the Go Bigger framework last week. And I literally found my purpose using this framework. It's one of the most insane things I've ever been through. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, my purpose is understanding people, is understanding how you build influence at every different scale. At how do I build influence one-to-one here with you? How do I build influence one-to-many with your audience, with my audience, with an audience I don't know? So my big vision is all about developing a system to understand people, especially now that AI is taking away from us a lot of human interaction, and it will take more from us. So
yes,
I do believe that the ultimate advantage in the future will be the human component. And
yes.
I'm willing to die on that hill because I know I'm right. And even if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah. Hey, Sebastian, somebody listening right now, we got a bunch of people in the show right now on the stream. If someone listening right now is struggling to position themselves, whether that's their business, their career, or even just their personal brand, what's one thing that they could do today to start fixing it?
Let's put it this way. It's such three different categories that are so different. If you have a business and you struggle positioning yourselves, my first guess, sitting here and not knowing you, is that you stretch yourself too thin, or you try to target too many people at once. Meaning the thing you have to do is the thing that in your mind is risky, which is focusing on one ideal customer persona, focusing not on what you want to sell, but on the problems they have, and then solving those problems. But you have to communicate to that specific customer persona. You cannot sell to CFOs, CTOs, and CIOs and CEOs all at once. Pick one lane. Doesn't have to be one industry. Pick one lane, or at least pick one problem you solve and go solve it for people. Now, you're struggling to position yourself in your career, then not my field. Get a career advisor. I don't know everything. But maybe it comes down to how you are communicating in job interviews. The things you're saying, the thing you're not saying. Maybe it's your body language. And positioning yourself in your personal brand is very similar to business. Many personal brands fail because they are self-centric. You see people trying to get attention to themselves instead of trying to shine a light on the problems that their ideal customer is facing. And that's the biggest thing in personal branding. Don't focus that much on yourself. Focus on what you want to be, your audience, or on who you want to be, the people paying you. And it is one of the hardest things to do, but it is necessary.
Yeah. You're hanging out with Keith Bilous and Sebastian Hidalgo all the way from Germany this morning on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Sebastian is joining us here today for our Community Corner segment. He was first nominated for the Creator Spotlight by Stephen Timoni, with Shaken Timoni, who called him, Jimmy, one of the most thoughtful minds in positioning in sales. And like every Creator Spotlight, we had to have Sebastian in the lab. And then what happens when we bring Sebastian in the lab is we pay it forward. And Sebastian gave us somebody to pay this forward on our Creator Spotlight. So right now I'm handing over the light to Sebastian. And guys, I want to paint a picture for you. Imagine your company has a solid product, something people actually love. You've got customers, you've got revenue, but suddenly things stall. Sebastian, they're all stalled, man. Growth slows, revenue hits a plateau, and no matter what you tweak, more marketing, more sales efforts, more features, it's just not clicking. You're like, what the fuck? That's because most businesses think growth comes from chasing new customers. But the real leverage, it's with the customers you already have. Yeah, true story. And that's exactly where today's LinkedIn Creator Spotlight shines. And I know that is the reason why Sebastian Hidalgo is nominating this Creator Spotlight today. This person has spent 20 plus years in tech, marketing, business enablement, and data analysis. Hey Jimmy, there's the hint. She's worked with over 800 founders, entrepreneurs and business owners to help them stop leaking revenue. I love that, Sebastian, leaking revenue, and start scaling the right way. She knows that most companies focus too much on their product and not enough on the customer. Sebastian, how many people do that, right? Focus on product, but not enough on you as the customer. Well, the person that you've nominated is on a mission to change that. She's helped businesses uncover revenue leakage that's tripled ROI, cut operational time by 50%, shorten sales cycles by 40%, not by adding more features, Sebastian, but by optimizing the value. She's a growth strategist, a customer advocate, and a total data-driven powerhouse. This morning, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends is very excited to introduce you to and to celebrate, Jimmy, let's do it, Patricia Rubio. Boom, boom, boom. Patricia Rubio, customer growth strategist, helping CEOs, founders, and business owners uncover hidden revenue. And she's here nominated in Mornings in the Lab today. Sebastian, you nominated Patricia. Tell us why she's someone people need to be paying attention to. Sebastian Hidalgo.
If there is somebody that's coming up with industry-changing concepts, it's Patricia, right? If you read her LinkedIn, she's coming up with metrics. She's finding ways of measuring not just the opportunities you're losing, but also the ones you could gain that are unlike anything I've seen. And a lot of people who do her kind of work are literally slide deck machines that actually bring no value. Patricia's the opposite. She's so tactical. She's so ground to earth. I've seen her advice. I've witnessed her. The quality of the things she says and the quality of the output she produces, it's literally one of the best minds in everything that comes down to knowing your customers, your existing customers, which are the lifeblood of your business. So yeah, I do hope you can have her on and you guys find the time to have this segment together because she is just a genius.
Well, good segue. Good segue. Sebastian, you threw it out there. Patricia, here's how it works. So Stephen Timoni nominated Sebastian Hidalgo. We had Sebastian Hidalgo on the show right now. And we said, hey, Sebastian, who do you want to nominate so we can pay this forward? He's like, hey, I got somebody. So we got Sebastian on the show. Here's what I love, Sebastian. Sebastian's in Germany. I'm in Winnipeg. I think Timoni's in Vancouver, Sebastian. And then we have Patricia in Phoenix, Arizona, United States. So Patricia, the invite is being extended to you on behalf of myself, Sebastian, Jimmy, the whole team at Mornings in the Lab. We'd love to have you on the show to complete and to continue paying this forward. Love this whole, I'm a big fan of this segment because we get to meet so many exceptional, awesome humans. I would not have met Sebastian had Timoni not nominated you. And I'm a better human. I'm grateful for it. So Patricia, we'd love to have you on the show. Sebastian says, you got to get Patricia on the show. So that's what we're doing. Patricia, the invite is open. Love to have you on Morning Lab with Keith and Friends on the Community Corner Creator Spotlight. So Sebastian, why don't you stick around for the next few minutes? I got somebody else to nominate. Would you stick around with me?
Of course.
Let's do it. All right. So we have, we'd like to do a second one. And this one here is in the Substack community. Are you a user of Substack, Sebastian?
I'm not, but I keep hearing about it. I'm curious as to why. Is it that interesting of a platform? I'm completely ignorant.
Yeah. So it's I think the best way for me to explain it to you is you own the platform. And what I mean by that is that, when you add a follower on LinkedIn or you add a follower on X or Threads, they own the follower. Well, when you follow me on Substack, it's your email address. It's my email address. Right. So, and there's ways to monetize it. It's a full digital publishing platform. It's pretty spectacular, actually. I'm using it as my home base. So we're leaning into LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack because as we're building our audience, we're building the audience inside of Substack with all the newsletter, with all the email addresses and a community of people. But I would invite you to check it out. It's a great platform, and it's very much about the community instead of about the algorithms. So it's a really cool platform. But we have somebody who we're going to celebrate now on the Substack side of things, and we do this. We do the LinkedIn side of things, and we do the Substack side of things. And if you ever find yourself craving something quieter, something slower, something more human, less noise, more meaning, not another expert yelling at you. Sebastian, there's enough experts yelling all over the place. Not another list of tips to fix your life. Oh, fuck, here's a list here, here's a list there. You just need someone who's being real, reflecting in public. That's what today's creator delivers on the Substack side of things. He's not trying to impress you, Sebastian. He's not trying to convert you, Jimmy. He's just wondering out loud. Nation, I want to introduce you to our friend, Ben Detal. Ben is a geography teacher, a father, a gardener, and the writer behind Seeking Wisdom on Substack. Ben is not here to teach. No, he's here to guide. Every post feels like a walk through his thoughts, and I love his content. Curious, grounded, and my friend, it is full of heart. Very, very human. He writes about parenting. He writes about the classroom. He writes about the garden and the inner world. He writes about real life. And he reminds us that growth doesn't have to be loud to be real, except in my world. At a time when everyone's trying to scale, Ben is staying rooted. So I invite you guys, go read Seeking Wisdom. It just might change you. So Sebastian, I invite you, as you exit the show today, sign up for Substack. Come follow Uncle Keith's Substack at InsideBapple.ai, and maybe you got your first follower here as well, Ben Detal, Seeking Wisdom.
You got it. I'll be doing that.
Yeah, and Ben, we'd love to have you on. Hey, he looks like Justin Bieber. I thought it was actually Justin. When I first saw the picture, I was like, hey, there's fucking Justin Bieber over there. Is he not? It's
geography. Ben. He should be a model, not a geography teacher.
I agree, man.
You're wrong.
Dude, you're a handsome dude. Ben, you're handsome, man. I think I agree with Sebastian. You should be a model. Maybe he is a model. I don't know. But Ben, you got to come on the show, man. We'd love to talk about your geography. I love geography. So let's talk about being a father, a gardener, a geography teacher, a Justin Bieber lookalike, right? So Ben, here's how it works. We've celebrated you. We'd love to have you celebrate somebody in your network. So you have the official invite to join me on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends to celebrate somebody on the Creator Spotlight, the Community Corner, every day, 9:30 Eastern Time, right here on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Sebastian, dude, I'm wrapping up, man. What do you got going on? So it's your night. I'm thinking it's actually your afternoon here today. How's your day been so far?
My day has been great. Been busy. Have some calls. Have more calls coming up, but that's usual. How has your day been?
Thank you for asking. My day started at 3:45 today. I got up and had my coffee and got up and got my lift in. And as I was saying at the beginning of the show, I was tired this morning and I was potentially making some decisions that my brain was telling me that were going to be easier to make. And I was like, no, that's not going to make me happy. So I chose the harder ones. I did a harder ride, did a harder lift. And I just, I made my non-negotiables work for me today because I was feeling a little bit tired, but I feel great because of it. So we've had a wonderful show. We've had a great show today. And now when you're done, I'm going to go back to the gym for another 30 minutes just to unwind because after the show, I'm just fucking wired. And then I'll go sit down on my desk and I'll start my official business day. That begins around 10, 11 o'clock. It goes till about 9, 10 o'clock at night and do it again every single day. That's my life of building the biggest morning show for men, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends.
That sounds pretty cool. Are you on that Ashton Hall morning routine? Are you waking up at 3 a.m. and putting banana peels on your face?
No, I wake up and I have my coffee and no, I'm not a banana peel person. I'm not a cold shower person or a cold one. I see you, Fit Presenter. Late getting online today. I'm working on a Substack account myself, and Bieber sucks. Fit Presenter. Hey, Fit, come see me over on Substack, man. InsideBapple.ai. Sebastian, I invite you to as well. Inside.bapl.ai. And we have a free community and a paid community. The paid community, Sebastian, is teaching guys who want to do what we're doing. And what I mean by that is not necessarily create a show, but start a conversation for their community. And actually, you might be one who's ideal for it. Like you have a unique offer, you have a unique voice. Your ability to own the conversation within your community is unbelievable. Let's face it. When we start the conversation in the morning, we set it throughout the day. Who speaks first? I speak first every single morning. So I set the tone for my community every single day, right? So I've conditioned my community to start their day with us, with our messaging, and today's messaging was about how to build an unbreakable mindset. So that's what we're doing on the Substack side of things. So yeah, it's good. Have a lot of fun, man. Have a lot of fun. I'm really glad we met you. Timoni is like, dude, you got to meet Sebastian Hidalgo. So I know that I was excited to have you in the lab here today.
Great, man. I love that guy.
Yeah. His energy is awesome. I really enjoy his energy too. Great
Also, he has
beard.
the most beautiful beard you will ever
I
see.
was just gonna say, great beard. His beard is awesome, man. His beard is. But we did have a creator spotlight coming up this last week here. The guy might have a beard better than Timoni. I'm telling you right now.
That's a record breaker right there.
You know what? When I have the guy on the show, I might have to invite you back and Timoni so we can do like a beard challenge, Sebastian. I'm thinking.
Yeah, you and I would be the jury. Decide who has the best beard.
Yes, yeah. Hey, producer Jimmy, I think we might have an unofficial host from Germany that can hang out with us every now and then, dude. Your audio sounds great. Your lighting sounds great. I like your contributions. Maybe we'll have you back sometime.
Happy to be back.
Awesome. Well, listen, let's get you out of here. I know that you and I were scheduled for today, but we bumped it. We're going to meet, I think, later on this week or next week. So I'm looking forward to. I'd love to have
meeting tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay, great. Awesome. So we're gonna have an after show coffee where we'll share more what's going on in our world and learn more what's going on in your world. How's that sound?
Perfect. Let's do it. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna walk Sebastian out of the lab, Jimmy, and we're gonna wrap up the show here. Sebastian, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for hanging out with me today. All right, guys. Oops, that's not the right sound effect, but that's the one I'm gonna use to wrap up the show here today. Did you guys have fun? I did. Whew. Jimmy, 2 days in a row, back to back. The ads are working. The people are showing up. People are enjoying the show. The conversation's got energy. Great guest. Carl Winkler was here today. Sebastian Hidalgo was here today. AJ Zeglen was here today. We talked about self-concept inertia. This whole identity thing when you're stuck. But listen, it's time to get out of here. We got some work to do. I'm going to do this. That's the sound effect. That's the one I was looking for. All right, we're back here tomorrow. 8 o'clock Eastern time. Fit presenter. We'll see you tomorrow. Why don't you come join the show tomorrow, Fit? Actually, Fit, if you want, why don't you come knock on my door. We'll get you in for a few minutes, catch up with you. Easter Friday. Good Friday tomorrow, guys. For those of you celebrating Easter. Holroyd, yes, great show, 2 hours. You stuck around, brother. Holroyd, man, I fucking appreciate you so much. I really do. I cannot sincerely say that enough. To the folks that have been around this journey with us, that constantly show up, I get such sincere admiration. I really do. Because I can't do this without you guys if there's nobody showing up. And our ads are working, as you can see. I've been pumping out the ads. I've been focusing on the fucking YouTube, been focusing on my thumbnails, been watching the click-through rates. Guys, I've been focusing like a motherfucker on YouTube, and the results are happening. So I appreciate all of you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'll get out of here. See you guys.